Hello everyone and welcome back to the FRC Historian. Week 1 has begun with the first ever competition of the year in Israel for the Israel event number 1. As of the time of this recording, that event is done. Israeli 2 had its first day. Right now, Orbit is rank 1 and I'm looking forward to see how that goes. However, what I find much more interesting at the moment is Israeli 1. Why? It's a nice clash of old versus new in a way. Who was the number 1 alliance? Was it the team who I thought was going to sweep? Miskar? No. Was it Steampunk? No, it was actually 2096, RoboActive. If you didn't know about RoboActive, they were a 2018 Chairman's Award finalist at the Houston Championship. They do some amazing things. They won Chairman's there then, and then they also won a District Chairman's last year. However, this year they were rank 1. They picked Trigon 5990. And then their second pick, Team Koi. This alliance was number 1. And then what you had was a number 2 alliance, a much more expected one of Steampunk, who picked Miskar, and then 7112 as their second pick. RoboActive, if you hadn't known, going into this competition, they had actually never won a competition before. Then they picked 5990, that being Trigon. Trigon's been around since 2016. However, this team had won before. They'd won the 2019 Israel 2 and had won the 2019 Israel District Championship alongside Team 3075. Here we have this 3 alliance partners who had, in exception to one, had never won a competition in their history, dating back several years. And now they're rank 1 going up against an alliance of some of Israel's greatest in their history, with second alliance captain 1577 Steampunk. They are a great team. Going into this event, I wasn't sure how they were going to do. However, arguably, I feel they have one of, if not the best robots in Israel, barring maybe 1690 at the moment. They have an outstanding shooter, great accuracy when they haven't been disrupted by a fall. And then they'd pick 1574 Miskar. I recently made a video about them. They have an outstanding history in Israel. What's interesting is that this is kind of a mirror of 2018. In 2018, they had quite a bit of a partnership with Miskar and Steampunk teaming up at Israeli 1, where they would win the event, then they'd go on to separate districts. However, they'd reconvene at the Israeli District Championship, where they would win the District Championship and each go their separate ways after that. However, they had that great thing there, and I wanted to see if they'd team up, which was awesome to see when Steampunk would go on to pick Miskar there, and that'd be the number 2 alliance along with 7112. That second pick, and serving as a backup bot for some of the matches, would be Team Evergreen. For these 2 alliances, I was really excited to see them. I knew from watching the matches from them that they'd both be able to put up some outstanding scores. I'm mainly focusing on these 2 alliances that they were the ones who, without a doubt, have really showed what 2020 can be. For instance, the first ever playoff match was 191 to 113 with the number 1 alliance pulling out a score of 191. The number 2 alliance, although losing their first match, would clap back with 194 in their third match in the tiebreaker of quarters 3. This is actually very intriguing. They scored 35 balls in tally up all in the outer port. However, with a combined score of 5 in Auton, they scored 40 balls in total. They did not go for the control panel, by the way. That's one thing to note. However, they scored 40 of the 49 balls that would be necessary. They did not go for the control panel, so those last ones didn't count towards stage 3. However, had they been a little bit more accurate and had they done the control panel, it is very likely that they could have approached stage 3. And this is really showing me that possibly in Israel 2, of course, at the time of this recording, elims haven't happened, not all the matches are over, but that is a possibility to see, as well as in the next coming days at many of the Michigan or other events across the world in week 1. So that'll be exciting to see. Going into these quarters 1, match 1, Red Alliance goes 191 to 113. Quarters 1, match 2, the Red Alliance wins this 159 to 76. On to the 4th versus 5th Alliance. Here you would have 4th Alliance consisting of 57-47, 45-86, and 70-79. Other Alliance 22-30, 82-23, and 67-36. The Red Alliance would pull away 75 to 72, and then 75 to 75, the Blue Alliance winning with penalties on their side. On to quarters 3, match 1, the number 7th Alliance, captained by Team 20-12, alongside team 57-15 and 30-34. They would actually win the first match 106-91, showing that these lower numbered alliances are able to upset as well. Then the next two matches they would pull away, going 136-87 and 194, which until today was the world high score, to 122. Finally, numbers 3 and 6. Number 3 alliance, teams 55-54, 32-11, and 78-45 against teams 30-83, 45-90, and 19-43. Number 3 alliance will pull away 105-90 and 104-83. One thing that's really nice to see here is just how close the numbers are. Of course, will I think the numbers will be a lot higher in most Week 1 events? Yes. However, it's nice to see how close these numbers are, as with the exception of two matches, no alliance really pulled away too far so it was out of reach. On to the semifinals, you have 1 versus 5. Of course, one of them was tied, one of them was a win, but the number 5 alliance would go on against number 1. Number 1 alliance would go 156-72, and then 121-89. On to semis 2 versus 3. Unfortunately, at the end of these semifinals, both Miss Car and Steampunk would find themselves in the peculiar place of falling and breaking some part of the robot, making it hard to line up and shoot. They were able to pull out a victory 96-90 and then 92-82. Unfortunately, after these two matches, they would both have much harder trouble. They would line up right inside the trench where they would normally shoot. They wouldn't make it. They wouldn't be able to shoot as fast. And thus the issue was that they'd have to line up a little bit closer, and they would consistently miss, either because of defense or because they weren't lined up in the place they needed to be. On to the finals. The first match was the Red Alliance 178-93, and then 118-28. A very lopsided finals at this event. Going into this event, I really thought that 1577 and 1574 would pull away, even before alliance selections happened. I wanted to see that. It was fun to see in their history in 2018, and I wanted to see something like that. However, what's nice is that doesn't always happen. It was amazing to see both 2096 and 6230 to win their first ever events this year, as well as 5990 starting off the year strong with the Competition 1 win. I'm looking forward to see Israeli 2. My prediction is that Orbit stays rank 1 and they pick Bumblebee. But of course, who knows? That's what's wonderful about what's going to happen. Of course, now we get to see what happens. Tomorrow's going to be some practice matches for multiple competitions. Friday we'll have elims for a lot of comps, and I'm really looking forward to review all of them. Let me know the event you're most excited about in the comments below, and thank you for watching. This has been the FRC Historian.